Resilience meets transformation. Here, we amplify voices that have faced trials, trauma, and adversity, stories that inspire hope, healing, and empowerment. Every episode brings raw, unfiltered conversations with individuals who have risen from hardship, embracing faith, strength, and purpose. Join us as we break the silence, uplift one another, and emerge stronger together. New episodes air Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Emerge and Empower with Dr. Lynn J. And we are glad that you are here. Now, as you know, Emerge and Empower is a platform for individuals to come on and share their stories of past traumas. I want to thank each and every one of you for your feedback. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for when you are not watching when we're on, but you go back and watch it when we are not airing. And I truly thank you for that. And again, we are at 20,000 views. I could not have done that without you. So let's clap for you. Woo-hoo! You did it. It wasn't me. All right. You did it. It's your likes, it's your shares, and your participation. Continuously, we are sharing on both audio and visual platforms. So you can also find Emerge and Empower on Apple. You can find us on all the other audio podcast platforms. And I am truly thankful once again for each and every one of you. Now, we are in a season where when we look at the month of May, the first thing we think about May is, of course, Mother's Day, as we celebrate mothers. Many of you spent time to come in to be with your mom. Many of you probably were not able to come in and see her. Make sure that you are continuing to love not only in this month, but always. A mother is always a mother. It does not change. That's one of the titles that never changes. A mom remains a mom. And I know the fathers are going to say, yes, you guys are always talking about mothers. But right now, May is for mothers. And we want to, yes, I'm a mom, celebrate the mothers and thank them. Next month, we'll address the fathers. So right now, dads, don't add yourself to the equation. Continue sharing the love. Now, if you are not able to celebrate with your mom on Mother's Day, find an opportunity this week, this coming weekend. You have time to still do that and create a beautiful moment with your mother. Call her if you can't come in. Video call. Spend some time with your mom, okay? Moms are very simple. They're not complicated. Just check in, Mom, I'm checking in on you. She will be happy. But also, she needs a gift too, all right? Surprise her with a gift. Senator Spar. You still have time. You have all week. You have the rest of this month. You have the rest of this year to celebrate your mom. And to the mothers who've gone through trauma and are still healing while you have your children, I truly commend you, because I was a mother that was still bleeding, that was still going through the process. I truly did not start my true journey to healing until I was in my 40s. And it was, my children were my why. They were my reasons for getting up every single day until I connected with my own healing. And oh my God, they love me even more. I'm more bubbly, I'm more colorful. Kids love that, all right? So let's continue healing and let's heal for real, everybody. Let's dive in. So we are here back on the set as we have our wonderful guests that saw the ad and the reach for individuals who have a story to tell. Now, every time we come on, we have someone from a different walk of life, from a different continent, because we have people internationally and locally. And let me tell you one thing about pain and trauma. It does not discriminate. And introduce yourself to our audience on today.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. Well, my name is Sue Bowles, and I am an ACC certified Master Life and Mental Health Coach. I'm the founder of My Step Ahead and what I call the chief instigator, because instigating is always fun, of the Dare to Believe movement. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm excited to be here. I am excited not just to be able to share my story, but because I know we have an opportunity to talk about it and the things I've learned and what God's doing before, during, and in it. May help somebody else. And that's what gives it purpose and meaning. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
I love how you came in and you're like the catalyst. You're like, I've got this, right? So a lot of people are gonna say, wow, she's coming on with all the energy, but they don't understand this has become your why because of what
Yeah.
your own past experience was. So as
Mhm.
we dive right in, you kept your trauma based on our pre-interview for 15 years of silence. Let's go
Mhm.
back into what your trauma was so individuals can understand what your traumatic experience was, what it stemmed from, and as we journey from that step onto your why and why you're doing what you're
Mhm.
doing now, helping those in mental health, because mental health is a serious
Mhm.
issue, and everybody think mental health looks a certain way. It does not. You can't tell
Mhm.
that someone is dealing with mental health just because, oh, they look like they are all out of their mind. No, the most radiant and beautiful person in the room who look like they have it all together is dealing with some type of
Mhm.
mental issue. So let's dive right into your story today.
Sure. My story starts when I was 7 years old. I am a childhood rape survivor. I was raped by a classmate when I was 7 years old after first grade one day. And and I would say I'm finding myself getting a little emotional. That
Mm-hmm.
happens at times. And even though I've healed from it all, I will not say, please forgive my tears. I'll say,
Right.
thank you for understanding my
Thank you
tears
for
because
understanding.
this is still my story. Yeah,
Yes.
and it still affects me. So,
And I
having
do
said
want to
that,
apologize for what you had experienced.
I appreciate that. It um, it took a long time to be able to say the only person who did anything wrong that day was my perpetrator, because this is early 70s. Rape was not on the culture, not on the radar. It wasn't talked about. I didn't know to say anything, and no one knew to ask anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, right from the start, all I knew was something was wrong. And we'll get into the 15-year secret part of it here in a second.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but in addition to that, and I'm sure you've talked about on the show before, that trauma literally rewires your brain.
Yes.
So at 7 years old, I didn't have a chance to be a normal kid. I went right into fight, flight, or freeze right
Yes.
away. And I didn't know. So I suddenly I went in survival mode and
Mm-hmm.
constantly not knowing that I was constantly on guard. And over
Wow.
by the time you get through, junior high, middle school, junior high, and high school, if you start off track, the longer you're off track, the further longer it takes to get back to the center. So
Right.
in between all that time, there were other sexual assaults from a neighborhood kid. There's twice I considered ending my life. I struggled with depression.
Wow.
One point in time, many, many years later, I dabbled with cutting. But in
Wow.
high school and going into college, I developed an eating disorder. I am now 9 years in recovery from an eating disorder. This is
Imagine.
2025. So hear that. I went into recovery in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about stuff that happened in the 70s.
Wow.
So trauma it just has tentacles that do not
Oh
stop
yes.
until
Yes.
until you become purposeful and focused to get it to stop.
Right. So
So
you were 7 years old. Now,
mhm,
did this happen at school or at home?
hap- happened on the school grounds in the woods. I was walking home, and a boy enticed me into the woods, and I
Wow.
was 45 minutes late home. And mom came looking for me. My
Hmm.
mom rescued me, and even then, it took a while.
So she saw the person.
No, no, because he went out. We heard her calling for me.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Hmm.
I gotta go, and that was my excuse to get the heck out of there.
Hmm.
He helped me against my will for 45 minutes, and he went out the other side of the woods, and his last words were, "Don't tell anybody,"
Hmm. Hmm.
and I didn't,
Hmm.
and I didn't know that I was putting myself in a prison. So
Yes.
she did not know, and it wasn't until decades later that I told my
You
mom.
notice you said 15 years, but before we
Mhm.
get to 15 years, because you just said that after that happened at 7, it didn't stop there, because when you speak to individuals who've experienced early childhood trauma, such as, as you went through, for some reason, it seems like it becomes a pattern and it's like there's a sign on you that says, hurt me or something, because it's like somebody already pick up, like, why am I being picked on? Did somebody say
Right.
something? So this was 7 years old when that happened,
Mhm.
and then you said it continued after, because we're talking about 15 years of silence. So in this 15 years, all of these things that happened. So you were 7. Did it and another incident happened at 7, or were you 8, 9, 10? Take us through your journey.
It would have been early teens when the other stuff was happening, because
Okay.
we moved when I was 11, and it was somebody in the neighborhood after we moved.
Wow.
So
Wow. Isn't that something? I truly, again, I apologize for what you had gone through. And a lot of people don't understand that, because as a child, first thing you're thinking is it's your fault. You
mhm.
know, uh, I thought it was something that I possibly had done. Okay. And so as a result, not only are you not telling, because now you're saying that people, friends, everyone was look at you differently. So what
Right.
was that process for you from 7 to the 15 years of silence?
Mm. Well, and real quick, just I don't want to give any misinterpretation.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff that happened from the neighborhood kid was sexual assault, but was not rape. So
Okay.
just to clarify that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't make it any less important, and it
Right.
doesn't
Right.
make it any less serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
want people to hear me very clearly.
Yes.
Sexual assault is sexual
It's
assault,
sexual
regardless of
assault.
what it looks like. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So in between there, I didn't know. I was an angry kid. When I was in 7th and 8th grade, somebody signed my yearbook and said,
Mm-hmm.
"To the girl who's always mad." And
Wow.
I didn't realize, you read that, I'm like, what? But I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize, other people can see things that you don't see.
Right.
And I
Right.
didn't realize I had an anger issue. I was mad. When I got to high school, I was punching lockers. I would punch a locker. One time I dented a locker. I
Wow.
would kick a wall. I mean, because there was just anger and I didn't know
Mhm.
where it was from. I've
Right.
since come to understand it. But I had maladaptive behavior, if you want to call it that,
Mm-hmm.
because in that time frame, I wanted to be seen. That was the
Yeah.
big thing I struggled with in high school, was feeling like if I was seen, I mattered to somebody. And,
Right.
and again, I didn't know this is what was going on in my
Right.
head. I've
Mm-hmm.
learned this over the last number of years.
Right.
But at that point in time, I was involved in chorus, marching band, drama, played basketball senior year. I mean, it was doing as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing whatever I could to be seen, to be involved, to feel like I mattered.
Right.
And went off to college. And I think that's where things really started in college. Because when you
Mm-hmm.
go to college, that's where you're really starting to develop into adulthood
Right.
on your own for the first time. And I was struggling because that whole desire to have value and be seen was carrying over.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying out for the basketball team. Can I say it helps to go to class to make the basketball team?
Yeah.
So we were a couple weeks into school, and my dean of student, I get a message from somebody. I was little sister of a fraternity, ended up, but I
Mm-hmm.
was hanging out at the fraternity house, getting to know folks, and one of the guys worked in the dean of students office, and he sees me across campus. He says, "Hey, Sue, did Lucy find you? The dean's looking for you." Now, mind you, I go to a small college of 800 to 1,000 students.
Okay.
It's like, just however many blocks big,
Right.
Northwest Ohio. So you really can't, you can run, but you will not
Can't
hide. And
hide.
even then, you can only run for so long because they're going to find you. It's not
Right.
like you're blending in with 15,000 people.
Right.
And so being the dutiful one, because I was, even in high school, I was the good kid. I didn't cause any problems. I didn't want to be the one to cause trouble. So I
Right.
did what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
So, it goes back to what my perpetrator told me: don't tell
Don't
anybody. I was
tell.
doing what I was told. So in this case, I went to the dean's office. The dean comes back and knows me by name. I'm like, how does this dude know me? Later
Right.
found out, but this is the power of a small college. Later found out he had a book of all the new students, their picture and their name, and
Okay.
he would go through it and get to know people's names and faces. That
Okay.
was powerful.
Yes.
So anyway, so he had gotten a call from my advisor, who had gotten a call from the basketball coach, wondering, checking up on me. And
Right.
my advisor was saying, well, she's not coming to my class. Her class was accounting, which at that time was my major. And I'm cutting my advisor's class. Not a good thing to do. So anyway, so his name is Ed Highland.
Mm-hmm.
Ed and I had a good conversation. There was something about him. There's like, he cares. There's something about him. So I wanted to go back and talk to him again. Made another appointment. That started a relationship that lasted over my 4 years, where Ed made time for me. And for the first 3 years, we were probably talking every week for a couple hours at a time.
Wow.
I was never rushed. I was listened to. I was encouraged. I was challenged.
Yes.
And he would sit. This is way back when, the early 80s, when people smoke inside. And he would sit in his office, blow smoke rings, put his feet up on his desk, and we just talk. And there was something about Ed cared. Somebody finally cared.
Yes.
And that carried over. Now, each year, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get back to college, because I was paying my own way through college. So I would say goodbye to him. But then I would always see him when I got back. He was the first person I went in to say hi to. Senior year, he was over in the development office, took a new position. But he made a point. I went over to see him. He made a point that first time and said, Sue, I'll still be available to you.
Right.
That meant the
realized you needed it.
Yeah, well, his office is in the cabinet. His office is right down a few offices down from the president's office. I'm like, I'm not sure how keen I feel about everybody over there knowing I'm coming over to see this guy. But we went from meeting every week to about every 2 weeks. That spring semester, Ed knew he had a student that really wasn't ready for the workforce.
Right.
And I had a job offer as an assistant manager of a shoe store in the area. And then I was looking to possibly go to grad school. I was also looking to finish my teaching certificate, which would have required me to come back one more semester. Okay. Now, this is a time that if it took you more than 4 years to finish college, there was a problem.
Right.
Now it's very standard. So anyway, so he's giving me different homework. And where it came out, again, up to this point in time, I didn't know I had a secret to tell.
Right.
I just knew that there was stuff going on. I didn't know what was causing it, but he cared and he listened and he was available. So, and he could see there were things throughout the years that he knew something was up.
Right.
So anyway, so we're having this conversation. He asked some question. We're going over the homework or whatever. And I do not remember what it was. All I remember is inspecting the weave of his carpet and saying, well, when society tells you not to say anything.
Right.
And my voice trailed off. And Ed was very astute. And he said, Sue, did somebody hurt you? I said, yeah. He said, your parents? No. Somebody else? Yeah. What happened? And that's when it came out. And I didn't know it needed to come out. Right. But what led to that was somebody giving the gift of time and love and loving through time and caring. And seeing through my struggles. He accepted me as screwed up as I was, as much as I was screaming for attention.
Right.
He saw through it to see that there was something about that there was hurt, and he didn't know what it was.
Right.
Until it came out.
Wow. And now, as he's listening to you, you were able to go through the whole story, or you just said that somebody heard you?
No, I told him what happened. He was the first person I told. And what was so, I didn't know I started my healing journey then. What was so cool was, and I will get serious on this one.
Take your time.
In 1999, I went back to campus for homecoming. And I had reached out to Ed and said, hey, I'm coming back. I'd love to see you. And he met me for breakfast in town. And he was working at another school by this time. And it was a great time. And I got a chance to thank him.
Yes.
I got a chance to say thank you. And I told him that he was the first person I told.
Yes.
And his response was, you're very kind with your words.
Yes.
Many years later, when I wrote my first book, I sent him a copy of it because I talk about the story of him.
Right.
Ed just passed away in November 2024. And I am Yeah, thank you. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to tell him
Yes.
and to keep in touch with him,
Hmm.
because there's nothing more powerful than telling someone how they have
Yes.
affected your
How they
life.
affected you, indeed.
And to be able to tell him that pivotal moment
Hmm. Hmm.
set me on a trajectory that I haven't looked back from since.
Yes.
That,
Yes.
there was, I will treasure that forever, because
Right.
that man, his care
Hmm.
literally started the process of changing my life.
And I'm glad he had enough discernment to
Mm.
realize that here it is, you're a teen, looking to come to an adult and sit down and talk. Obviously, first thing they're thinking, this child must not have friends. Something must be wrong, because, teenagers, we just want to hang out with other friends. Even today, they don't want to hang out with grown folks. So if you
I've always been
find
a
that,
weird one that enjoys helping out the administration with stuff. So that
yeah,
part was,
me, I was one of
normal.
those too. And I think as I look back and I listen to everyone who has spoken, a lot of the behavior or the things that most kids probably would not like, it puts you in a place where you're trying to go away from the danger or anything that is careless. You're being very thoughtful into whatever it is that you're doing, where you're going. You're being very intentional. And as a result, I find that it wants you to be around with people who are mature, understanding,
Mm,
who see you, where you could get advice. You're not just anybody. They care. In
right.
Ed's case, he listened. So
Mhm.
it literally took almost 4 years for you to open up to tell him, it sounds like.
Yeah, but again, I didn't know there was something there.
Hmm.
I didn't. It's not like I'm sitting there saying, "Well, I've got a secret and I'm not going to tell him."
Right, right. You
I
put it in
didn't
your
even
subconscious
know.
mind too.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Now, when I walked out of his office back to the student union that day,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
remember feeling like everybody was looking at me and everybody knew.
Because
I
you
already had a
said
big
your truth.
scarlet letter on my head.
Yes,
And
yes.
but here's what was cool. Ed asked if I'd seen a counselor in town, and Ed
Hmm.
asked if I told the counselor. I said no. So I called him. He really encouraged me to do so the
Hmm.
next week. So I called him and asked if he would go with me. So he
Hmm.
talked to his wife
Wow.
and thought about it. They said it was okay. So
Hmm.
he went with me. Even then, the second time trying to tell somebody is not easy,
Right.
because
No,
I'm sitting
no.
there, the counselor's asking, kind of wondering who's this guy and why is he here.
Right,
And,
right.
and I still remember him looking at Ed and saying, "What do you think?" And Ed said, "I think Sue needs to quit shadow boxing and tell you what she told me." So, and that's tough love.
Right.
Like, guess I just got backed into a corner.
Hmm.
So,
Yes, it's
but
true.
he
It's
knew
true.
that's what was best. He knew that was what was best,
Hmm. Hmm.
and he helped me with it. So, I'm so very grateful that God sent Ed into my life,
Right,
'cause I wouldn't be where I would, in my mind. I wouldn't be where I am today without
right.
that. So
Everybody needs an
that
Ed.
that started it. Oh yeah, everybody needs an Ed. Yes, very
Everybody
much
needs
so.
an Ed.
Very much so.
Yes. So now that you told Ed, so when did you come around to telling your family?
Oh, not even. Oh my gosh. Wow, that would have been early 2000s.
Oh, much later.
Much later. In
Oh,
fact, some of my siblings did not know my story until my book came out. Um, Yeah,
yes,
because
true.
there was dysfunction in our home. There was alcoholism in our home,
Hmm.
and some emotional manipulation
So
kind
there
of
were
stuff.
things at home
Which
that
is
did not allow you or
right,
give you that
right,
atmosphere that was conducive for you to be able
right,
to share.
right, right.
That made sense.
And I had to feel a little more solid myself. I
Right,
can't say I was feeling solid, but yeah, it was easier to tell one of my parents than it was the other.
right,
And one of them responded so tenderly, and
right,
just said, "I wish I had known."
right,
And then they said, "Maybe it's best I didn't, because I probably would have gone after him." Like,
right.
that's love. And then
That's
that's
true.
love.
It's true.
So,
It's true. Unfortunately, Joe, some parents don't react that way because some children might tell it and they're said, you're telling a lie. It's not true. I don't believe it, because we see a lot that happens as well
Mhm.
for children and as they tell their story. Because I see it and I hear it. Even those who are
Mhm.
adults, when they go back and they tell what happened, if they want an adult, they were like, no. And even then, I've heard it. You're lying. That can't be true. Or why did you wait now to say? Did you
Right.
get any reaction of why did you just wait now to tell me?
No, no, everybody was supportive. I mean, I was, my siblings in particular, when the book first came out, I gave everybody a copy, and right there in the acknowledgments at the front, I list them all and I say, because some of what I share is your story too.
Right.
But I have never had a podcast make me so emotional as this
Oh,
one
take your
is.
time.
Usually it's a little here, a little there.
This
This is the third
this
time.
emergent
Holy
power is a
smokes.
place to heal. It continues that way. It
Yeah, it's
allows you
good. It's
to
good.
have your
It's
voice.
good.
Where
Right.
I don't rush you
I
here. It's a
no,
healing place. It's a
no.
healing
But
place.
my siblings have been nothing but supportive.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot speak highly enough about them.
That's good.
They're cheering me up.
That's
They
great.
cheer me.
That's
What
great.
I'm doing is very odd.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
everybody that wakes up and is a speaker across the country and writing
No,
books and,
no.
doing podcasts and life coaching. So what I
Yes.
do is odd, but
Yes. But
they're like,
needed and necessary.
yeah, yeah. They're like, you do you. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so no, my siblings are fantastic. So I
I
love,
love that. I love that.
yeah.
You need to have that family support as well, because I can even relate when it came to me writing my book. Even though people when I was younger, when the story was told, I didn't get that reaction. I didn't get that
Mhm.
support, and
Mhm.
so I became silent. It was like I was muzzled for years. Like
Mhm.
as things continued to happen, what was the point of telling? Because you
Right.
knew what had happened, and you guys still stayed in that environment,
Right.
still had the person around. My mom still was the guy, had to leave the house. So it felt like you were
Mhm.
alone and all by yourself.
Right.
So
Right.
in my case, like you, when I wrote my book, that's when a lot of all the other things, all my siblings even realized what was going on, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and
And
mhm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I cut
Go
you off.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Hmm.
Oh, one of the things I've seen is that, and this is the power of story, is that as I shared my story, it
Hmm.
has given siblings and others
Right.
courage to, kind of face some of their own stuff. Yes,
That's
all of
true.
us were affected by different stuff, and all of us have our
Yes,
own little secrets, and all of us deal with it in
definitely.
our own different way. Um,
Definitely.
but different people, in my life have
Hmm.
um, had the courage to say, you know what, maybe I need a little help in this. You know
Right.
what? Yeah, I never did talk about this or really deal with this. Maybe it's time for
Mhm.
me to go get a little support so I can just finally get it. And it's
Yeah.
like, what if me having that courage to share helps
Hmm.
somebody else? That's
Yes,
a win-win. That
it
is
is.
what this is
It
all
is.
about.
It is indeed, because I always say, even when I go out to speak or I say something, I said if I reach one person, I've done
Mhm.
my part. I've done my job.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
as you tell your story, even people who thought they knew you, or they were like, "Wait a minute, I guess I really don't know her."
Right.
You know.
Right.
So these are all the different things. So now, as the podcast is titled, the Raga Muffin Redemption. All
I
right.
love that, by
The
the way. Yes.
Ragamuffin Redemption, Healing
Yes.
Through Truth and Faith. So Sue has told you her truth. All right. So now let's get into the ragamuffin. I remember growing up, we dealt with this word was like back in the 80s.
Mhm.
So let's get into the ragamuffin, because how did the
Uh,
ragamuffin film and retreat experience mark a turning point for you? Because
uh,
it's titled Ragamuffin Redemption. So
I
let's
love
get
that.
right into this part of it.
Yeah. So this is where things get really cool. So above my head, I don't know if you can fully see it. There's a
Mhm.
quote by a gentleman named Rich Mullins, and it says, "It's not going to matter if you have a few scars. It
Mhm.
will matter if you didn't live."
Right.
Now, Rich is a Christian musician who was killed in 1997. If you've heard the song "Awesome God," not the Phil Collins, not the Phil Wickham one that's out now,
Right.
but that is from the original one, Awesome God, Step by Step, were all by Rich Mullins. So anyway, so in 2014, there was a movie called Ragamuffin that came out, and it was based on the life of Rich. And I went to the movie. It was a hard watch. Those first 20 minutes, I'm like, just got something in my eye, Mom. Because we brought a bunch of our friends. I got tickets, brought a bunch of our friends too. And because I didn't want to be found out. That was a theme throughout my entire life. I didn't want to be found out because I didn't think I would be accepted. And I didn't want to have to deal with my stuff. Right. So later that year, the movie producer and the family and friends of Rich Mullins, who were all involved in the movie, decided to have a retreat. And that first one in 2014 was called the Ragamuffin Retreat. And it's now become Walking Stick Ministries. Mm-hmm. I went to that first retreat in 2014. Excuse me. There were about 50 of us there, 50 attendees. Mm-hmm. And the only thing we had in common was all of us had seen this movie and God had stirred something. So that first year, and even going to that retreat was a fight because I was supposed to be in Nashville to see friends, and God kind of kept pulling me. Mm-hmm. One of the things about this retreat is that they do a Facebook group for the people who are just going to the retreat. That first year, they boldly and gently asked us to share our stories so we can get to know each other. Now, mind you, I had not told my story publicly to anyone. Yeah, that's Ed knew, counselors knew. That was it. My family did not know. So I'm lurking in the room for about 3 days and encouraging others, commenting, and trying to stay under the radar, not be seen. And then you wake up one morning and the heart's pounding and you're you're starting to sweat and you're like, all right, it's my turn. So I got liquid coffee, liquid courage, put on the pot. And for literally a half hour, I'm typing out my story. And I'm like, I cannot believe I am doing this. Mm-hmm. Hit post. And I'm getting a little shaky at the thought of this. This is cool because for the rest of the day, I'm like, I know I'm just going to get trashed. I know someone's going to tell me it's my fault. I did wrong because it's all I've heard all my entire life. We are now 10 and a half years after that. I have yet to hear one negative comment. Not one. Instead, it is, you encourage me. You inspire me. I just want to give you a hug. Yes. You give me courage to share my story. Mm-hmm. So I went into this retreat and my brother had served 18 months in prison for a drunk driving accident he took responsibility for. He had just gotten out in August. The retreat was October. And he's like, Sue, go to the retreat. It's my thank you. Go. I want you to go get away. So and what really sparked it was a conversation he shared with somebody that he had with somebody in town. He ran somebody at the grocery store. This is shortly after he got out of prison. He's home. He lives here. And I said, man, I haven't seen you for a while. Where you been? He said, in prison. Mm-hmm. And I was so struck because here I am living a life of secrets. Afraid to be found out. And in my judgmental mind, if anybody had a reason to have some shame about the story, was my brother. Be him. And he's like, I was in prison. Yeah. I screwed up. I own it. So I shared that with my counselor and I said, I just want to be authentic. Get me ready. Yeah. And we spent 6 weeks dealing with all my fears. Wow. So by the time I get to retreat, it's kind of like everybody knows what I'm dealing with. Right. And God did a work. That first year, I had to own my story because I hated my story. Yeah. And it came at a very pivotal time where literally about 5-10 minutes, I am just crying in a room full of 50 people in silence to the point that the leader says, it seems like God's really doing something here. Let's just keep continuing to pray. And nobody said a thing. Right. So that first year, I went in calling myself the holy exception. I had bought the lie that I was too screwed up, too far gone, and a total waste of space. And I'm starting to implode again because this was also the year we were dealing with the rape for the first time. Yeah. Wow. Having an eating disorder, emotions are not the friends of eating disorders. No. So my life was in turmoil and I was spinning and I was just trying, desperate to hang on. So that first year I went in calling myself the holy exception. I left there saying and starting to believe for the first time that Jesus Christ not only likes me, he loves me. Yes. And he's head over heels in love with me. That was the starting point. Things built from there. The second year, I had to grieve my story. Every story has loss. And
Yes.
every loss is worthy of being grieved.
Grieved,
So the
yes.
second year, I had to grieve my story. And through that, I was able to start letting it go.
Yeah.
The third year, 2016, the nugget I walked away with was I am valuable to God.
Yes.
And that is when things started to change. That
Mhm.
is when I started to dare to believe that I might matter. That's when I
Yes.
started writing the book. That's when all these things started happening. That was the year I went into recovery from an eating disorder for the first
Yeah.
time. I was learning how to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that was even challenging. So
Yes.
all this and each year built on the next, on the next, on the next. This tribe is called Walking Stick Retreats. And the retreats are open to anybody. This is a carte
Say it
blanche
again. What's it
invitation to
called?
come. Walking Stick Retreats.
Walking stick.
And yeah, the website is walkingstickretreats.org. Our next 2025 retreat is in September in Lynchburg, Virginia.
All right. We'll
Registration's open
provide
now.
that in the. We'll
That'd be
provide that
great.
in the
That'd be
flyer.
great. Registration's open now. So I'd
Okay.
love to see you there and we can talk over lunch. But anyway, so through this group, these bunch of ragamuffins, I was a ragamuffin, broken, bruised, beat up, feeling like I'm a waste.
Yeah.
And God, God redeemed. He's kind of in that business. And
Yes.
through this, I took a chance on love. That's what happened. I dared to believe. And then when the staff members
You are
told me,
worthy of love.
yeah, when the staff members told me later that she kind of saw the first retreat as a kind of Hail Mary for me of
Mm-hmm.
was I lovable and could God love me? And that's when things started to change because there is nothing magical about retreat. The staff gets out of the way and lets Holy Spirit do his job.
Yeah.
That is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, my healing journey has come through retreat. God speaks to us in languages we understand.
Yes.
To me, it's music and retreat. And each year there has been something. We had retreat a month ago that was just off the charts of what God did in my life
Yes.
to continue to speak to me, inform me, and direct me, and
Right.
just give clarity. So that movie in 2014, and I am just one story. There are so many, even within the retreat community, and so many more we don't even know about that were affected by that. But that movie gave me permission to share my story with somebody other than a counselor who was bound by confidentiality.
Right.
Because that was the first time I told it to somebody else. And that was the first time I wasn't judged for it by anybody.
For telling it. This is one of the reasons why people don't want to tell, because they don't know what everyone's reaction would be. Would they be blamed? Will there be shame? They don't know what that reaction would be. And so as a result, people shy away from telling. If the individual is married or going to get engaged, they won't tell it because they think it will scare people away from them. Or on the other way around, there are people who are going to take advantage of you, when they know that. Because they know you haven't healed and they would manipulate. So there's a lot that happens as to why, people don't want to share their story. And that feeling unworthy, that is always like one of the first things, like I'm not deserving, I'm not worthy of love, I shouldn't have good things, I shouldn't be happy. So all of these things are there. And, so I like what you said. What you did was you stayed busy. You were in all of these classes. You participated in everything because you stayed busy, because staying busy kept your mind off of your own secret.
The way I phrase it, way I phrase it when I speak is that if I stayed busy, I didn't have to think.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to think, I didn't have to feel.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have to feel, I didn't have to deal with my stuff.
That's it.
I was running from me. That was what happened.
Yeah. And anyone that's watching right now, you're probably that person running from you who don't want to tell, you're still going through this. It's time, because once you come and confront it, to look at you, don't run away from you, deal with it. Healing is beautiful. Listen, healing is free. Healing is colorful. You want to wear colors. You see me, I love ladybugs, and today I decided to wear a ladybug because this is how I feel. It gives me joy. I was deciding color, whether I wanted to wear yellow orange, green.
Right.
So I wear my colors, but before I stayed away, I blended in. I tried to find the simplest
Mm-hmm.
color, something that would not bring any attention to
Right.
myself. So healing actually is a beautiful thing. Healing is a glow, you know. And I have a journal that says let go and glow, because once you let
Mm-hmm.
it all go, you truly shine. All right, you start loving yourself and actually start to even find yourself funny, you know.
Now, healing also is not for faint of heart because it
Yes,
is work.
yes, you have
It
to
is
confront it.
hard work.
It's a
And
process.
healing can't happen alone.
No,
You
no,
didn't get that way by staying alone.
no.
Or I should say, let me back up. You got that way by staying alone,
Mm-hmm.
by isolating, by keeping
Actually,
the hurt to yourself. And
yeah.
do not hear me saying that anything that happened to you was your fault. I am not saying that.
No.
I'm saying that our normal human reaction to pull in and to withdraw
Mm-hmm.
serves us for a time for survival.
Yes.
And it's only supposed to be for a time. And
Yes.
when we hold on to it for too long, it has worn out its time, and then it
Yes.
starts doing us damage. It is at that point that healing needs to involve other people so
Yes.
that you can experience what you need to experience in terms of love and acceptance and healing, because you haven't gotten it yet.
No.
Healing happens in community.
Yeah.
Community does not happen in isolation.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to find someone, first of all, that you feel comfortable with, like Sue had an Ed. You have to find someone to be able to share it with. Some people find it's easier to tell it to strangers than anybody that they know.
Right.
We live in a time now, not like the 70s, 80s, or even 90s. We have platforms, groups, that you can get into and find your community. Some of the local churches have groups that will continue to help you. The community have centers to help. So that help is just right there. You just have to make the decision. Today it starts. It starts
Mhm.
today, because I don't want to continue this way. All right. So you did tell us about the Ragamuffin film. And so let's now get into what inspired you to start your Step Ahead and Dare to Believe movement.
My step ahead. Our message is you only have to be a step ahead to help the person behind you. And what that is about is realizing that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have arrived. You don't have to be perfect. That you have life experience now
Mm-hmm.
that can help somebody else while you're still figuring it out.
Right.
So for me, I have my counselor. So I'm reaching out to Amanda. But there may be somebody behind me that's just starting a journey or somewhere in the middle of the journey that I've gone through.
Right.
So I'm reaching out to Amanda while I'm reaching back to help somebody else. And we have a
Mm-hmm.
human chain of support.
Yes.
The whole thing about my step ahead started the second time that I was considering ending my life. And that was when my parents divorced.
Wow.
And I was on a ski trip in
So
Colorado.
that in itself is another form of trauma.
Yep. So I was on a ski trip in Colorado with a camp that I worked at. And a dear friend of mine is named Billy Sprague. He was a Christian musician in the 80s and 90s. And he was on the trip. We had lost contact for 3 years. His fiance had been killed. We lost contact.
Wow.
Killed before she was on the way to surprise him at a concert. He was a Christian musician.
Wow.
He found out right before the show. So we lost contact. We established contact again right before this trip. So we're there, and I looked at him and said, I need to learn from something you've gone through. And we're talking the last day when we're else down slopes. And I said, how do you go on living when all you want to do is die?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, what's going on? And we just started talking. And at the end of the conversation, he shared a story. This is where the first part of my step ahead came in.
Mm-hmm.
He shared a story how when he was going through everything with his grief, that he had a friend with him who was really encouraging him and had him watching his boots in the airport. And with each step saying, one more step, one more step.
Wow.
One step. I can get there. One more step.
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. I can make this.
Right.
And at the end of our conversation, he said, that's all I know to tell you, Sue, step by step. So not knowing there was a song by Rich Mullins going to come out years later called Step by Step that dear to my heart. But that started it. And Billy had me watch my boots when we're going down the ski slopes. And my first thought was, God, it is a long journey and I am not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 1991. And here we are into 2025.
Oh, yes.
The other half of my step ahead was after my first few retreats. I'm at church and Dale's talking about discipleship and growth. And he posed the question, said, what does it take to help somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
How can you help somebody else in their journey? He said, you only have to be a step ahead. So I married those two together because I latched
Beautiful
on.
Concept.
That's what it's about. Because I'm on a mission to break the stigma around mental health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mental health as Christians in particular, because
Yes.
unfortunately the church shoots its wounded.
Yes.
There's no reason for that. So
Mm-hmm.
I am here to break the stigma around mental health,
Yes.
to realize and tell people that you don't have to have it figured out.
No.
God can use you now in whatever state you are in, and that your life experience is meaningful.
Yes.
No matter what has happened to you, through you, or for you, or from you, your life experience is meaningful and God can use it now.
Yes.
That was the purpose behind my step ahead. Now, 2022, I think it was 2022. I have why you lose track. Launched the Dare to Believe movement. And that's because when I'm with my coaching clients, as I said, I'm a life coach. When I'm with my clients, when I'm out speaking, and the best part of speaking is when people come up and talk to you afterwards, either at your table or on the stage or whatever. And I love that because if they're willing to share a snippet of their life with me, I am all
right. Mm-hmm.
And I started hearing whispers of doubt of, oh, but you don't know what's happened to me. Is it too late for me? Oh, but I can't. Oh, but this. And I realized that as I really started stripping it down, it boiled down to one question. And this is the crux of the Dare to Believe movement.
Mm-hmm.
How do you answer the question, do I believe that I matter? Yes, others believe in you. Yes, that is important. And it's not enough. Because until you can answer that question, do I believe that I matter? In a positive, affirmative, bedrock way, the hard life truth is permanent life change cannot and will not happen.
Right.
So what's that look like? I believe I matter tomorrow when I have my appointment with my counselor.
Yeah.
I believe I matter when I go out and cut the grass because I want my house to look nice. Yes. I believe I matter when I sit down and have coffee with a friend because I believe that person believes I'm worthy of my time.
Yes.
That I'm worthy of their time. How you answer that question shows up in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. I believe I matter when I go to school, when I pay the bills, all these little things that we take for granted, all find the answer to that question.
I believe.
The Believe movement is all about empowering people to not only address the challenges of what's the hang up for why I can't answer yes. Maybe I'm just saying maybe, or I think, or I hope so, but I can't say yes. We help them start working those through. The website has downloadable free access, worksheets, and articles that right now deal with fear and imposter syndrome. We're working on stuff about boundaries and stuff.
Imposter syndrome is a big deal.
Yeah, so that people, if they're not ready to pick up a phone call yet, they can download these articles and worksheets and kind of just start doing a little bit of their own work. Because until you can answer that question, yes, things aren't going to change. So that's the heart behind it all.
It's true. It's true. So true. So writing your story, as you wrote your story, because now it's for public.
Yeah.
And at the time, family still did not know.
Right.
As you are writing it, talk to us. Like, were you like, maybe not? Maybe I should leave this alone. I don't want to visit this area. You know, what were the emotions for you?
So I started writing the book in 2015. And that was the second year, a year after my first retreat. It was a year after I had started the work with my counselor.
Mm-hmm.
That was the year, if I remember correctly, I believe that was the year Simone Biles came out with her story. And I've said this before, if I ever have a chance to tell her personally, I want to tell her that her sharing her story gave me permission to share mine. And I didn't know it was going to come out in the book. The idea of the book was a little different. It was going to be life lessons, and each chapter was going to end with a little, nice little summary. This much I know, ... whatever.
Right.
And then God kind of took over.
Of course.
Then it kind of started becoming a memoir, and it became my story. It's like, okay, this is taking a different form. And it was so cathartic and petrifying and fun all at the same time, in a really weird way. It's a weird, warped, whacked out world, but it was fun. And when I went into recovery from my eating disorder, I had to take 2016 off, because when you have been destroying your body, and in essence your life, by not eating well, and you're having to deal with those emotions and have to figure out how to eat for the first time, really, I had no energy for anything else but just trying to get through a day. So then I picked it up again a year later. So anyway, the book kind of took on a different form, where it ended up being my story. And at the end of each chapter, yes, there's still the summary. This much I know, and it's a quick little synopsis of the lesson from that chapter. I learned a lot about myself in that story. I had things come out that I didn't think were going to come out, about some spiritual abuse that happened, that I hadn't put words to that until Amanda, my counselor, started putting words to it. So even in the writing, there was still healing going on.
Of course.
But it was very cathartic, and it was a mission. I was like, I just feel like I'm supposed to do this. Now, it was, once I got it done, did the edits and everything, and finally got it ready to publish on Amazon, I gave a manuscript copy to my dad. And that was when I told him the first time.
So you told him first, or before he read it, or after?
I told him before he read it. Okay. I gave it. I went down to see him. He was down in Dayton at the time. Dad passed 2 years ago, and I gave it to him. I said, "Now, before I give this to you, before you read it, there's something I need you to know."
Father.
And that's when I told him. But it was so cool, because one of my favorite pictures now, because once the book came out, I'm autographing it, sending it off to my family and everything. Went down to see Dad, had my copy for him, and autographed it. One of the best pictures I have, my sister says she even loves, is a picture of him in my car. We'd gone out playing pool, and I gave him his copy in the car, and he's sitting in my passenger seat reading his inscription, and there's just the sweetest smile on his face. And I'm like, that's the moment. That's the moment, and I was like, that was a tender moment. So when Dad passed, one of the things I told my siblings, said, I want my copy of the book I gave him. And we were on a mission to find it. At first we couldn't find it, and they found it, and they made sure I got it. I'm like, that's all I want. That I just wanted this, because that memory is tied to this.
Yes.
But yeah, so the book, the book is, I keep talking about the book. The book is called This Much I Know, The Space Between, and it's available on my website. I'm happy to sign it for you. Just tell me there's a
thing. Get all the links, all the links in the bio, everyone.
Yeah.
So you can connect, because remember.
And there's a place you can tell me how to autograph it for you. But the book is called This Much I Know, The Space Between. What was crazy is that it came out in 2019. So it took a while to get it done.
That's what I'm saying. I know it's going to take a while. It's not going to be overnight.
No. But in 2020, it won second place nonfiction at the Faith and Fellowship Book Festival. Yes. And I'm like, this is confirmation from God I'm doing something right.
Yes.
And it's just been crazy to watch that. But the whole process was cathartic. I learned a lot about myself in the process, because I'm a writer. And when I'm writing, and you're just writing your story, right, and just things just start coming.
Things just coming. Clarity, memory. Didn't know this. You don't even, like, how did I remember that? It's all the details.
The thing for me was the connections.
Yes.
Of that's when I was writing my book, is when I started to realize that process of if I didn't have to think, I didn't have to feel, that whole thing. I learned that from writing the book and reading what I was writing. Because sometimes when you're writing, it becomes an emotional thing. So it gets the logical brain out of the way and more stuff comes out.
Right. Wow. Well, Sue, I do believe that we have our viewers, whether they're watching us right now, whether they're watching us a month from now, whether they're watching a year from now, they will find healing. And for those who are searching to see if there's someone who even come close to your story, if Sue is that person on today, I would like for you to reach out. And as you are in the comment sections, just encourage, all right? Like I said in the beginning, healing is continuous. You heal every day. There's something new that you're realizing, aha, this is what caused this. And now you can face that and you get rid of that. And you come here and it's continuous, but it's beautiful, right? So what you also need to do is once you said yes, okay, you have to trust the process. No one says that the days are always going to be the greatest days. You're going to have low moments. But the point is to get up and not throw in the towel and not give up because you're pushing to get to the finish line of your life. You want to get there, go beyond existing and living because you might not realize it. 20 years you've been existing, you have not lived. 30 years you've just been existing, not live. Get up, go to work, take care of your kids. Nothing to life, nothing that you look forward to or enjoy. I now look forward to brunches. I look forward to getting up. I look forward to, is there an event going on? I need to get up. I need to dress up. I need to find an outfit. But when you are dealing with the pain, there's no joy in depression. There's no hope. Depression is a place of hopelessness. It's telling you unworthy and all of that. It's time to get out of that. And I would like to use, the scripture reference where Jesus left the 99 to get the one. And I believe that one person is you. And you just need to cry out and say, Lord, I need you. And I want my healing to start today. So, Sue, as we close, what hope would you like to share with the individuals that are watching us on today?
Yeah, great. And it kind of springboards off what you just shared. When sometimes people say, well, what's the catalyst? And what I have told my counselor when I walked in to see her was, if we're doing this, I'm not stopping until we're done. And life happens. Life continues to happen. I've been with her since 2008. And I'm not ashamed of that because life happened. It helped me through losing 2 parents and all kinds of stuff in between.
Yes.
But when I told her, this is my catalyst, and it goes right to what you said, was that a manageable level of tolerable existence is no longer an option. I'm going to say that again, because this is my mantra still. It challenges me to do what I don't feel like doing. A manageable level of tolerable existence is no longer an option.
No longer.
And let me share this. So 2 more things. So first would be, it's what my life verse is. And it's my hold on verse. And I share this with your listeners now. Psalm 71, 20 and 21. And I'm going to put emphasis on certain words. Though you have made me see troubles, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. From the bottom of the depths, you will again bring me up. You will increase my honor and comfort me once again.
Yeah.
It's right there in the Psalms. And I love that will and again, because God is faithful. It may not feel like it. You may feel so abandoned and alone that you feel like God has just dumped you off the face of the earth. I will tell you this. It's a lie straight from the pit. And that is where you have to dig deep and dare to believe that you do matter.
There.
That God's word is true. It is not a multiple choice smorgasbord where you get to choose what's right and what's not.
No.
It is all in its entirety. And daring to believe you matter means daring to believe the word applies to you.
Yes.
Right now, in the muck, in the mire, in the dirt, in the effects of sin.
Yes.
What happened to you is not your fault.
Not your fault.
And God did not make it happen either.
No.
We are in a sinful world. Sinful people do sinful things, and there are consequences, good and bad, for sin.
Yes.
And And I don't even say consequences good and bad. There's consequences for sin
Sin.
and effects of sin. And what you are struggling with is an effect of a sinful act or multiple sinful acts.
Yes.
And Jesus has that solution. Jesus is the solution. And Jesus with skin on may very well look like a life coach with me, and I don't say that in a prideful way, or
Yes.
to a counselor, or to a support group, or whatever.
Yes.
But Jesus has skin on, and it's all around you. And the first step has to come from you.
Yes.
Now, sometimes it's hard to take that first step. You just need a little encouragement. And I have something for you to help with that. Go to my website, as Dr. Lynn said. That website will be there, SueBowles.com. I have what I call Hump Day Help. And it's just a weekly text I send out on Wednesdays. It's just an encouraging text. That's all it is. Just to help you get over the hump of the week. And sometimes, as she said, you just need somebody to speak a little encouragement to you. I'd be honored if you allow me to be that person for you. Just go to my website and sign up for it, and you'll start getting it right away. Because I care about you, but I don't care about you. I don't care about you nearly as much as God cares about you.
Yes.
And he wants to shower you with love and heal you so you can live the life you don't think you deserve.
Yes.
Because you do deserve it.
You do. You do. Thank you so much, Sue. You've been truly a blessing to us here. And as you were speaking, I couldn't help but to go to the woman caught in adultery. And they tested to see what his reaction was. But he reacted in kind. He reacted in compassion. He did not allow them to stone her, but instead look at them. Because in this case, they were perpetrators wanting her life. But he said, they didn't condemn you, and I sure won't. But what he left with her was, go and sin no more. Once you have been delivered from something, don't go back to it. Stay free. Stay alive. Okay? And like Sue said, I double dare you to say yes to living today. Yes to a brighter future. Yes, I'm ready to tell my story. And that's it. That's it. So again, Sue, I thank you so much. And I don't believe this will be the last time because she'll be coming back. There will be a moment as a mentor to come in and pour so you can have questions and Q&A and anything.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes. And anything from this episode, any questions that you have, we can come back and address it. So you do have to comment. You do have to react because it's based on your feedback. Okay, so
yes, I'd love to interact with you guys. I want to hear what you're thinking. What are your questions? What are your doubts? Let's talk because we can't help each other towards the cross without talking first.
And you can do this in the privacy of your home. You don't have to be in a public space. So if you are looking for someone, you didn't find anyone, you can either reach out to me or you can reach out to Sue, whichever person that you feel, you find relatable and comfortable with. That is what we're here for. We don't need your details. We don't need your street address. We don't need anything of that. We just want to go back into that place and time that you once dealt with that trauma and just deal with it so that you can heal for real. All right? Heal for real. I just want to pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you. I thank you for this session. Father, I feel like the wells of healing have been poured. I feel like the bandages have been taken off. I feel like the stitches, Father God, have been addressed in this episode. And I believe in truth that healing has begun in this space where you are in your car, where you're sitting on the couch, whether you're just at a park, wherever you are watching this right now. The Holy Spirit is there to minister unto you. And there are destiny helpers available that God will send your way. That's in your community, online, wherever it is. Accept that. Accept the help because, like Sue said earlier, we cannot do this alone. But the Holy Spirit, oh my God, sweet Holy Spirit, fill your children's heart at this time. As the tears flow, the shackles fall off, the chains fall off. That dark pit has opened and light has come in. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. 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 Thank you so much, Sue, for being here on the set. And everyone, stay tuned for more. And again, Emerging in Power comes on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. and every other Saturday at 6 p.m. for our bilingual audience.
A platform where resilience meets transformation. Here, we amplify voices that have faced trials, trauma, and adversity, stories that inspire hope, healing, and empowerment. Every episode brings raw, unfiltered conversations with individuals who have risen from hardship, embracing faith, strength, and purpose. Join us as we break the silence, uplift one another, and emerge stronger together. New episodes air Wednesdays at 6 p.m. English and Saturdays at 6 p.m. with select Saturdays in Creole for our Haitian audience.